Welcome to the She Invests Intuitively podcast, a Soulful Valley podcast for women who are done dimming their light, done playing small, and ready to rise. Here, we don't chase money. We align with it. We don't listen to market noise. We trust the quiet power of our inner voice. I'm Carey, author, publisher, and intuitive entrepreneur. I turned debt and heartbreak into financial freedom, and now I'm here to remind you, investing in yourself is the most powerful decision you'll ever make. These short, soul-infused episodes and occasional guest conversations with kindred visionaries are your permission slip to move with purpose, lead with intuition, and receive with ease. Let's activate your next level together. Katische is a direct transmission channel who helps people connect to high spiritual intelligence to help with their career. She's an author and poet and the host of the Infinite Life Consciousness Raising Spiritual Transformation podcast. Before this episode begins, we would like to apologise for Katie's sound today, which we can't explain the interference and quality of. We have tried our best to improve the sound, but in light of what was happening in this episode, we were channeling spirits, we believe there was some spiritual interference. Enjoy the episode. Hello, and welcome to the She Invests Intuitively podcast, Katische.
Thank you, Katie. It's wonderful to be here.
Now, this is our first guest interview on the She Invests Intuitively podcast. So I'm actually delighted that it's with somebody that's been on the Soulful Valley podcast with me multiple times, and I've been on her podcast. And I'm also delighted that this isn't going to be a normal interview type conversation either. It's going to be a channeled conversation because it's me and Katische.
It's going to be fun.
And I think as well, for a bit of context, the reason I think this has come to be, because it wasn't supposed to be like this. I had multiple interviews booked in for March and April that were all changed. And Katische has ended up in this room with me. And I think that's because there are some things that I've intuitively invested in that have been directly following a session with Katische. So I think my angels and spirit guides have worked it out this way.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. I think so too.
And one of the biggest things, Katische, that came about because of a session with you, a similar session to what I think we're about to have now, was me appearing in Zero Limits. Can you remember that session?
Oh, it's quite a while ago, but yes, I do remember that it was referred to that you should go and spend time doing something to do with movies. I think that was right. And I said it was a movie that you would be in a movie like In the Secret.
Yeah, you did. It was over 3 years ago now. Potentially nearly 4. And yeah, you said to me that there was more than the books, that you could see something bigger, movies like The Secret or The Shift. And then following that, the next time I picked up my phone, I saw an advert for the Zero Limits movie. And I knew I was supposed to apply, so I did. And then a lot of other things happened after that ended up with me being in it. And from the perspective of like investing in a movie, that's quite a big deal. It's quite a big chunky investment. I had no clue what that would look like. And I just came away from it with the thought that, oh, well, if I'm supposed to be involved in a movie called Zero Limits, there'll be zero limits in me being a part of it. And I ended up in it. And so I thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And Katische has been doing on her own podcast a one question channeling
series,
which I missed out on because I've been spending a lot of time with my latest grandbaby and supporting my daughter. And Katische suggested we do that on this podcast today. So, Katische.
Yeah, and I'd like to point out too that the reason that I thought it was appropriate as well was that in the chapter that I've written for the next book that I'm in with you, I have 3 perspectives, one written by me and 2 which are channeled. So it kind of links in with my chapter as well.
Beautiful. And the book is Evolving on Purpose, Angels, Spirit Guides, and the Frequency of Miracles. So it all pulls together. And I didn't actually think it would be on this podcast that we'd speak about this. But that's where we've been called today.
Yes.
So, Katish, I've had a lot whirling around in my field over the last couple of weeks in particularly. And then you've landed. And so I guess my question is, can you ask what's next for Soulful Valley?
What's next? Okay, that's a very broad question. What's next for Soulful Valley?
Many things. I mean, I can give you an idea of all of the little things that are coming in, but it's quite overwhelming when so many things are coming in.
Okay, so could it be, do you want to focus it down to what is the most important priority, or what is the most aligned opportunity, or do you just want to keep it broad?
Maybe as there are so many things, and I know that my energy gets scattered if I'm focused on too many things at once, to try and come back down from, because I know there's a bigger picture and it would probably scare me. So maybe keep it on where I should focus my energy now.
Okay. No worries. And just for the listeners so that they understand, I have Archangel Michael, who is standing beside me. He's kind of like my bouncer, which means that only the authorized person, so he scans all the different people's intentions, because we could have a spirit guide, we could have a past life connection, we could have any sort of connection come through. And their intention has to match the intention for the question. And they have to be the most authorized person to answer the question. So he sort of sifts through all of the applicants and then tells me, it sends forward the energy of the person or being that has chosen to connect with you to answer the question today. So he's always here doing that for me. It also ensures that we don't get any well-meaning or well-intended people that try to come through under some other guise or fake disguise, if you know what I mean. Because that's obviously sometimes the risk of a channeling session, is that people can mask themselves. And generally you can feel it as a channel in a feeling in your gut, or heat intensifies in the body or something like that. But that's why I always have Archangel Michael here, because he's worked with me for so long that he's like the bouncer, and he looks for the truth and the purity in the intention in answering the question. So what I will do is I will connect, and we will see what being in the light does have an answer for you today, Katie. So just give me a moment. And so sometimes there are pauses, just for people who are listening on the audio version. There can be a pause for a minute or so while I connect with the relevant person or being. Hi, Katie.
Hi.
This is a very funny situation because Katische has detected me, and I was just sent here to watch. But I do have a message for you, first of all, because she did feel a very funny kind of a giggly energy when she first connected with the energy. And that is because I am kind of like a little fairy godmother for the girl who was in the happiest moments of my soul session. Do you remember her, the one that was in bed, that was reading the story? So she just wanted to come in and to remind you of the joy that you had when you were in that lifetime, when you were reading children's stories. And Katische is smiling and smirking because, remember, in the other session that she had with you, she did talk to you about children's books. That was a directive from your soul at that stage. So I guess I fluttered in here because there is a soul wish that Katische would describe as a purple kind of an energy that if you went into the Akashic Records, you would find it around her lifetime and her book. She had a sparkly wish in her heart to be somebody who would grow up one day and write children's books. So when you feel a kind of an inkling or a lovely feeling in your heart that you would like to write some children's books, maybe for your grandchildren or even for other children, because she does remember telling you about Wayne Dyer and his children's books, that is directly linked to that incarnation where you were the little girl who we visited when she was reading her storybooks in bed. So that's all I have to tell you now, is that is a soul wish, and you do not have to fulfill it. It's not a soul contract, it's a wish. But sometimes when you do get that inkling that, oh, maybe I should do some children's books, it's not contracted. There's no pressure. You can put it to the side. You can just even write a little storybook on a blank sheet of paper, fold it up, put some sparkly stickers on it, and your past life avatar, she will feel just as happy with that as anything else. So if you are looking at priorities and things that must be done, I, as her fairy godmother, as she would call me, I'm really an angel, but she calls me a fairy godmother because she sees me just before she goes to sleep, because she sees the magic of books. So she sees magical dust over her books. She does say, if you feel tired or pressured or just like there's too many opportunities, just one day make a book for your children and your grandchildren and just literally cover it with glittery stickers and pictures, and maybe use some nice pastels or paints or whatever medium that you like, and put it from Nanny Katie Carey, and that sparkly purple wish will be fulfilled. So you don't need to worry about that being something that's holding you back, and it doesn't need to have your priority. Just know that sometimes soul wishes are fulfilled with a simple interaction. So I'm going to go now because she's about to wake up for the morning time, and I know that sometimes people will get confused, but just trust us that this little girl is very happy and she likes to have reading books beside her bed when she wakes up as well. So I always appear when she wakes up so she can have a quick read before her nanny comes and gets her out of bed. So I'll be off now.
Thank you.
Hi, Katie. Well, that was rather lovely, wasn't it? It is not your fairy godfather or your fairy godmother or fairy monster, but no, I'm not one of the other beings that you've had come in before, but I am rather like Katische sees me in her mind's eye as, is his name Scully from Monsters Inc., the blue one? So I rather look like Scully from Monsters Inc. Now, what I want to tell you today is that I am not a figment of anybody's imagination. I am rather more a person or being in the light who has decided to disguise themselves today, because this is a public podcast, not a private version. So I have come here to put my perspective, which has been authorized, of course, upon the most important things for you to focus on now for Soulful Valley and the Soulful Valley publishing and podcasting arm of your business. Now, the reason why I have put on the disguise is because we, the soul of who I am, would like to keep sometimes the messages distinct so that an intuitive podcast does keep a rather more broad aim and it does appear across all cross sections of life, because we believe that we, the soul of me, Scully the fairy monster, who's not really Scully, would like you to see that intuitive investing in yourself is more than just a spiritual category. It is a way that we would love human beings on earth to expand their understanding of how to make decisions, because we believe that that is the most important thing at the moment. Because mental health is important, and so is spirituality, but grounding yourself and teaching people exactly how to know how to make an intuitive decision in blow-by-blow steps, if you so want to be, or to explain as if you were sitting down with a child with a storybook, but for grown-ups, that does say to people, how do I know what is intuition? What is real? What signs do I know in my body? And how can we take this message to a greater community? Because we do believe there are the most amazing movies out there and podcasts and books for people who are very, very spiritual. But we believe that there is a grounded spot that there needs to be created where people who don't really know what intuitive decisions are, don't really understand how to trust their gut, and sort of have a half belief sit. And the reason that we say that is because you have made so many intuitive decisions. It is almost, well, it is second nature to you, but you almost brush it off, because it is actually quite a miracle in this day and age to be able to make decisions intuitively. Most people have got so many fears in their tummy that they don't quite know what's the difference between fear and anxiety, and even a decision that is based in, energy, somebody else's wishes versus their own wishes. So, for example, now Katische did feel a bit of kind of like a reflux, like it was boiling up from her tummy. And for her, she sometimes does push her consciousness in, because we are teaching her how to watch from the side without closing her eyes. But the thing is that perhaps maybe many of the directors and producers who are coming in now to speak to you and have your attention, who have worked in Hollywood and maybe have retired, or maybe they're looking for new ventures, are really just wanting to connect with the everyday down to earth people to get their message across. And we think that you have a very definite opportunity to be a kind of a filter for these people, so that they understand exactly how an everyday person, before they have had a spiritual awakening, does make decisions. So when we say spiritual awakening, what we do mean is start to experience real signs, real clarity, and can move forward with making real breakthrough decisions that will change the trajectory of your life. So we do applaud you for explaining piece by piece in this podcast and in all of the previous episodes exactly how your story went, because what we do believe is that gives people confidence. Because if somebody said to me, I need $50,000 to do a movie, and I know that I have a dream that might look purple and sparkly in my Akashic records, if I was talking to you, and that was a soul wish, how would I really know that I would be able to achieve that in this lifetime? How would I have the confidence and the courage to say, yes, this is really for me, when I don't have the confidence in my intuition to know that my thoughts create my future, and I don't know really how to create a new timeline opening up that just focuses specifically on this one creation of the movie or whatever the opportunity is. And I haven't watched The Secret, and I don't think I ever will, because that was a movie from a long time ago and it seems too spiritual, and I don't know if I like those people. So what we see for you is a way that you can still honor all of your contacts and colleagues that are very, very spiritual, but a way that you can bring in new listeners to this podcast by breaking it down into really specific experiences, whereby they can learn through your experience, your contacts, and maybe even some new books, workbooks perhaps, the step-by-step process to really understand how to not get in touch with your emotions, but how to trust yourself, how to trust the things that you think about just before you fall to bed, and how to trust your dreams, because what we see is that there has been this history of people psychoanalyzing dreams, and if you see a big scary monster, then you must have some dark past, or you must be surrounded by ghosts, or you must have something that you're processing that is terrible. And we know from seeing your past lives through Katische that you have had many, many happy lifetimes and this characteristic has come through to this lifetime. So we know that you have built this up over many, many lifetimes. And as Katische has said to you before, she always sees you looking happy and cheerful, and you're a happy person to be around. And she's never met you in real life. And so what she thinks that you would like to know, and we are relaying that message as well, is that when we do come through, we do see that you kind of underestimate how you can hold people's hands a little more closely without draining your own energy. We know that you do have lots of, what do you call them, services on that website that you made that was special. She can't remember what it's called now. It's not Patreon. That one, Pensite. Yes, that has offerings, but perhaps it's more of we wouldn't say one-on-one, but a small group experience where people could not be embarrassed to put their hand up and say, "Hi, Katie, I'm at the beginning. I have a dream. I don't want to do it alone, and I need somebody to hold my hand. Will you please help me learn how to be intuitive so that I can move forward with these sparkly dreams and thoughts that I'm so afraid of because they seem too big a jump for me." And so the reason that we think that is the focus is because of the way that you have set up this podcast, and it does provide a way of having more community building activities, because the people that you do tend to attract over on the other podcasts, they have their own communities. They have all their own customers. They have their multi-author books with you, their single author books with you, their own books in other things, and they've kind of already sorted. But we see that the gap that you have as your real soul core strength is your personality and your approachability, and people will reach out to you and tell you things if you kind of maybe even have sort of like, I'm not sure if it's a separate Facebook page, but it's kind of more like a softer approach to being a beginner's 101 service, so that they will walk gently with you through many years and many different iterations of getting to know themselves, getting to know their dreams. Because as you say, manifesting comes so easily for you, but for the average Joe on the street, or Jane, if you like, that doesn't have a spiritual family, has never picked up a spiritual book, some of these spiritual companies have just leaped too far in advance for the average person who suddenly thinks, I don't understand, but I know I trust myself a bit. And it's not about self-care, and it's not about self-loathing or self-hating. I just want to know a bit more, and all these other people are too complicated to actually give me what I need to know. So that would be what we would see as we would call it the most obvious way to move forward with the intuitive brand. For this podcast has a position in our heart, and we hope that you will see it is, although it is similar in the branding, we see it as quite distinct. We see it as a kind of more, we would hesitate to say soul satisfying, but more in line with helping everyday people make that jump. And we see that as sort of like you being the bridge between your coaches and authors, and we call them big spiritual bigwigs, even though, you know, they're not as big as Wayne Dyer, but, you know, maybe one day they will be. But, and we're not saying that you're not either, but your brand identity is very approachable and friendly and trustworthy. And now that you have now that you're a grandmother again, you've gained an almost otherworldly grandmotherly halo around you. And I think that this would allow you to take people under your wings, so to speak, and it may also be more satisfying in terms of creating communities and connection than people who already have their own big Facebook groups and all those other apps and bits and pieces. So again, it's not a soul contract. It's not even a soul wish. It's just a way of communicating to you what we see as your distinct brand identity for this particular podcast. So we, the soul of the pretend fairy monster, would like to say that that is what we would prioritize if we were you moving forward, because that is why we allowed the fairy godmother of your past life little girl to come in with that children's book wish, not to say to do the children's book wish, but in terms of the simplicity, because spirituality shouldn't have to be just for intellectual people, and we would classify you as intellectual because look how many courses and studies and degrees and things that you have. So we would consider that a lot of spiritual people use too many big words, too much jargon, and have too much assumption that can make it rather confronting for the everyday person. So that is all we have to say today. We would just like to encourage you to see it as a distinct brand opportunity to separate, if you wish, the two identities, so that you can have all your fancy, detailed, beautiful AI stuff for your Soulful Valley branding and the Soulful Valley opportunities and books. But we personally, as a soul group, see that the intuitive is a much more softer approach, where you can take people through the podcast on a journey and then take them into very small interactive group offerings with you, where you can be like a grandmotherly figure or a mentor figure, to break it down so that they don't feel dumb or stupid, because we think that some of those people will eventually feel confident enough in themselves to follow their sparkly dreams and wishes, and achieve things that you consider second nature. And so we see that there is this bridge to gap between people who don't know how to trust themselves enough to make large investments because they don't know how to get their intuition working, because they're still in the process of working through what is a fear-based message in my tummy, what is just anxiety that I can work through, how do I know whether something needs to be overcome, how do I know whether it is actually the right timing, do you know what I mean? And how do I even know whether it's a sign that I'm seeing that is real, or is it just something that I'm making up in my head? Like if I see the number 111, like you see a lot, is that really me and my spirit team sending me a message? Or is it just an algorithm? Like, how do I even know that? That's the kind of sort of thing that we think some people need to know, because, you know, some people are a bit too toffee-nosed in the spirituality world, and they just think that you should know all of these things. And there's not really anywhere that you can look it up except for Googling it. And, you know, sometimes you just don't know what to trust anymore. So that is why we have that message. And we hope that that does provide you with some direction there, because we think that maybe some of these connections that you're making are a little bit sick of the toffee-nosed people of the world and the highly acclaimed and the highly connected and the, well, she won't, not allowed to use that word, but they're looking for real people with real stories and real ways to make real impact on the ground to help the real people who don't even know what an awakening is, don't understand energy reports, and just want somewhere to begin. So we send you love and blow big bubblegum kisses, and we say good luck. And don't forget to say hello to your little friend. Sometimes she does wave to you and she does send bubblegum kisses. So you just need to know when there's this sticky sort of a sensation around your cheek about here, she's blowing you a bubblegum kiss in her dream, because she does actually remember that you came to visit, even though it was the grown-up version of you doing a regression session, visiting her. She knows that she has another version of her called Auntie Katie, she calls you. So she knows Auntie Katie comes to visit. And sometimes in her dreams, she does send you a bubblegum kiss. So she's sending you one now. She's holding up her teddy bear and she's going out to play. And there might be some more chocolate cake and a birthday party later on in the week. So have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Well, there we go. That was a lovely message.
That's funny because it's not any of the things that have been floating around, but they are two of the things that have come in and gone again. And I've not paid too much attention to them. One of them, there used to be like a columnist called Dear Deirdre that people used to write to. And for me, Nanny Katie, it was like Nanny Katie to the grown-up younger generation, floating about. Maybe even as a YouTube channel. I don't know. But that has floated about. And the children's book keeps coming up. So it came up way before I started Soulful Valley. I was on a course to do with children's books. It's come into me that it was something that I should be doing. And then my granddaughter, my eldest granddaughter, said to me, when are you going to make books for children, Nanny? And then she wrote a poem that I decided I'm going to make that into a children's book and haven't done it yet. So it's been there, but it's not. It's not been grasping my attention as much as all of the other things.
Yeah. And there's plenty. And it's just a suggestion, as they said, it's not a soul contract, but it does link to a soul wish. And, you know,
but now a new grandchild is coming. That's sort of, you know, I'm reading her stories.
Yeah. So, you know, Nanny Katie can have a think about that and see where it goes. But I like the bubblegum kiss too. That was nice.
Thank you, Katische. For our listeners, can you let them know who you are, where they can find you?
Sure. So you can find me at katische.com. I'm an author and a poet and a channel and also a speaker. So all of my social media links and everything are on my website.
And Katische's podcast.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I forgot podcaster. The Infinite Life, Consciousness Raising Spiritual Transformation.
Which is one of my favourite podcasts. So do go and listen. Thank you for today, Katische.
Thank you, Katie. Appreciate it.
Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to She Invests Intuitively. If this episode lit something up inside you, trust it, share it. Take one aligned action before the day ends. Remember, your energy is your currency. Your intuition is your greatest investment strategy. And you are already the woman you've been waiting for. Be sure to subscribe, leave a soulful review, and visit sheinvestsintuitively.com. Here's our disclaimer. The stories and insights shared in this podcast are for inspiration and educational purposes only and are not financial advice. Always trust your intuition and seek professional guidance when needed. When you've finished here, come and join me over on the Soulful Valley podcast, where inspiring authors, healers, and visionaries share their journeys of awakening, purpose, and transformation. Until next time, keep rising, keep trusting, keep investing intuitively.